What is happening, people? You've made it to another episode of Guna Down Under TV, and today is all about that Champions League group stage, and we're getting closer to finally being able to hear that music again. Who would have ever thought would be this deprived? But look, it's nice just to be back in it. Would have liked to verse some bigger teams just to feel that Champions League sort of enigmaness, like sort of vibes early on. But look, overall, you can't really complain. It is a pretty good group for Arsenal. Maybe not the easiest it could have been, but it's sort of right there where, if Arsenal show up, you're expecting them to come first in the group. If you don't know who we're versing yet, so it's going to be Sevilla, PSV, and I want to say Lens, but I know it's Lons or something like that. Hopefully I haven't butchered that too bad. And, maybe you could see some sort of Arsenal slips here and there, but we should go strong. We should be able to put these teams away and finish top of the group. And that's exactly what I want. I don't want to sort of slip up, come second, and then more likely to have a tough sort of opponent in the first stage out of the group stage. I think we need to do our business, come first, and then it's sort of up to what happens, but you're more likely to get a favourable opponent. I think if we come first, depending on Bayern Munich, Man U, you expect Bayern Munich to come first. We can't play Man United. Sort of other teams in pot 2, or you'd expect to come second, it'd be between Napoli, Real Madrid, and then, of course, that group of death with PSG, Dortmund, Newcastle, and completely butchering it, AC Milan. And so even then, when we can't verse Newcastle, if it's not PSG, it's Dortmund or AC Milan. I'm not that hesitant on any of them. I'm sort of still convinced Arsenal can do their thing if they show up. Even PSG, it's not the same PSG of old. They're not looking the same yet. I know they have brought in some new players and it will take some time to gel. They're still very young. But I'm liking Arsenal's chances, I think this group stage is going to be a real key for us. It's going to show us, can we sort of translate what we've been doing in the Premier League, especially last season, into that European stage. I think although it's not, it's still football, I think there is some sort of a learning curve. You sort of saw what Pep Guardiola, gosh, I'm all over the place today. Pep Guardiola had to sort of do to get Man City over the line. Maybe limit that gun-ho-ness, pick your moments, and really execute when it matters, because you can get caught in these games. Every team in Europe is starting to have really good players. It's becoming more of a world game. There's so much talent in every team, and so it's going to be really important that we translate quickly and we put these games to bed. That's going to be my key statements. Sort of going to try and break down each match one by one. And at the end, we're going to sort of predict the table and see where Arsenal end up. So with that being said, we sort of have to start with who is in pot 1, and it is going to be against Sevilla. The sort of fixture list hasn't come out yet, so we don't know when we're going to be playing everyone. So I'm just going to have one go at each team. Before I get completely blasted, this is just a photo I found online. So before you think Havertz over Party in the midfield, it's just a photo. It's just sort of a quick guide breakdown of the teams. This is an old photo as well. I believe Montiel isn't there, and their keeper. They have Jesus Navas, and their keeper's sort of blanking me right now. But, I think the biggest opponent we're going to have, or the biggest challenge we're going to have in this group stage, is definitely going to be Sevilla. In the European landscape, they're much bigger than Arsenal in terms of success. We're sort of, we've gone close. We made the Champions League final, but we haven't been able to do it in Europe yet. And so, we're going to have to prove ourselves. I think Sevilla is going to be a tough test. You saw how they played against City. They got a lot of chances and honestly probably were the better team overall. They got their guy En-Nesyri up front, and even though he's not maybe the most clinical striker, he definitely will make it tough for us. He's sort of known for being able to get a lot of chances off. He's aerially pretty good. He can get his head onto things. He's quick, he's dynamic. And so I think he's going to be a tough test for us. And as you know, I'm sure Lamela would absolutely play the game of his life against us. So we're going to have to try and check him, make sure he's not a factor. But besides that, they do have a lot of good pieces. Acuna at left back, is one of the best left backs in the world. I think, he's very dynamic, sort of maybe a winger in a fullback's body, or just a winger playing fullback generally. Very dynamic, can score assists from left back. They got Suso, Acampos, Rakitic, who even though he's sort of at the end of his career, can always make an impact and dictate the play of the game. And I think that's going to be key here. Is we need to sort of impose our game on all these teams. We need to control it. We need to play the way we want to play and not fall into the trap of playing their style. Overall, even though I think Sevilla is the toughest test, I think we should still be able to get the job done. I think the toughest thing will maybe be at their place, although I feel like our away record is getting better and better. And we have a lot of different players, a lot of different combinations that can get the job done. I think, before this transfer window closes tomorrow, hopefully we can bring in one reinforcement in the defense, just so that we're not weak in case of any injuries. But besides that, I think we got numbers. That DM position, we have 3 options. That left side at 8, we got Rice, Havertz, Vieira, Smith-Rowe. Even, our wingers, Martinelli, Trossard, Saka, hopefully Nice Relson. What is happening today? Reece Nelson can take it up this season. He hasn't got any minutes yet, but let's hope he does something. And then Jesus, we have Eddie, who's been firing recently, to be fair to him. And so I think we're starting to have the depth to be able to compete here. My prediction, I'm going to say Arsenal win 3-1 at home. We can't keep clean sheets. And then away, I'm going to say we nick it 1-0. Sort of like that Crystal Palace-ish game. Obviously, Sevilla are a completely different team, but just one where, it's a professional job. We do what we need to do, and we walk away with the win. Next up, also, hopefully you appreciate the efforts. Had to create this lineup myself because you cannot find a PSV 11 anywhere unless if it has like the likes of Gakpo or it's an all-time PSV team with R9, etc. But they as well, they have some good players. Luckily, it's looking like Bakayoko is on his way out. So El Ghazi will probably step in for him. They do have Sangare in that midfield, CDM, big, strong, physical. I think he's very underrated. Apparently, he may be on the move as well. If that's the case, I think then we really have a good chance against these guys. Dynamic fullbacks, shout out to Van Aanholt. Crystal Palace days, always a good fantasy Premier League player. And they did just bring in Dest from Barcelona. Besides that, their team is quite mixed. I think the only person to sort of key out here is De Jong. Not the quickest, not the most athletic by any means, but he sort of gives me Giroud-esque vibes, but he can always get on the score sheet. You see it, doesn't really matter what competition. He's done it in the Champions League before as well, where he's had a pretty good goal return, and so I think he's someone we definitely need to eye on. But again, I think if everything works out, we should be able to beat them. I'm going to try and wrap this up nice and quick. I'm going to say at home we win 2-0, and away I'm going to say we maybe slip up in this one, unfortunately, and I'm going to say 1-1. Like always, let me know what you think of my predictions down below. Leave a comment. Also, while I'm talking about it, like and subscribe. If you subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section below letting me know as well, because it really does help out. Now, we're going to talk about this last team again. Had to create a Lons starting 11 because you ain't finding one anywhere on the internet. Real quick, I'm not going to pretend like I know about this team much at all. The only player is sort of Wahi, There was a lot of links with him with Arsenal this past summer, and he looks pretty good. Of course, you never know because it is the French league, and so some players do, blow up in that. See what Lacazette's doing, even after his recent stint with Arsenal. But he does look the part. He's quick, he can dribble, pacey, agile. And I think, he's someone we'll need to target as well. Besides that, don't really know much about them. No Medina from his, short stints with Argentina. But it's looking like they will set up slightly different in a 3-4-3. That's what they've been doing 2 out of their 3 games in Ligue 1. But it hasn't been very successful. I think they're coming about 15th. To be fair to them, one of those games is against PSG, which is always going to be a tough game. But I think we should be able to get the job done home and away here. Hopefully, maybe even get a little bit more rotation. Not too much to where the team's sort of like disjointed, but I think this is a game we can get some rotation, still look good, and get those 3 points on the board. Home, I'm going to say we 4-1. I think this is a team we can really go against. And away, I'm going to say we win 2-1. Again, let me know what your predictions are. But those sort of a quick rack up. What is happening again? A quick recap of the games I'm predicting of what's going to happen. I think the way it's going to end, don't blast me if I'm wrong, but I think Arsenal's going to top the group first, then Sevilla, PSV, and last Lens. But, hopefully that goes to plan. It doesn't always necessarily go to plan, but hopefully it does. Let me know what you think of my predictions. What do you predict is going to happen in the Champions League group stage? And as well, who do you think we're going to get if we do advance out of it? Let me know all of it down below in the comments section. And for today, that's all for me.